Hello and welcome to episode 1. I'm your host, Dana Duckworth, aka The Big Speaker. I'm super excited to present this show to you all. Today we're going to be examining Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance and talking about the bold act of artistic rebellion that really challenges censorship, the perception of Black art, and the broader implications of censoring Blackness. I'd like to also mention that this is an Urban League of Hampton Roads podcast brought to you by the Urban League of Hampton Roads Young Professionals, specifically the Marketing and Creatives Committee. I'm so excited that they reached out to me to work with them, and this is just part 1. The podcast purpose is to be a platform bridging creativity, community, and change. Today, it's not just me. I am pleased to welcome my guest. Let me bring her to the stage, Miss Keena Carson, who is the founder of Creatives for VA, a leader in empowering local artists and championing artistic freedom. Hi, Keena.
Hello, Dana, aka Big Speaker. What's going on?
Oh, everything and nothing. I'm so excited to have you as the very first guest on this amazing podcast. Hey, we starting with the best, so it's only up from here.
Listen, I am honored as a Urban League YP. I am honored to be here, and I'm just grateful. And this is a perfect topic because I love Kendrick, so I was itching to talk about this halftime show.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about your background, Keena, and kind of what makes you, I'll defer to you as my expert on this episode when we're talking about the creative expression that Kendrick showed us during that halftime performance.
Well, let's see. I've had a career in the music business for about a little over 15 years now. So super grateful for that, working behind the scenes and, management and in PR and, in other facets as I've navigated my way through the music business. And then I would say in 2013, I always tell my advocacy journey because it's always something, it's always one particular event for anybody that's in advocacy or any type of community engagement and activism. It's always something that led them to it. And for me, that was Hadia Pendleton in 2013. Which is the young lady in Chicago that got killed in a park. So from 2013 really into now, I've just been, doing more of the advocacy work. And when I moved from Chicago, after, I was the communications director for Lupe Fiasco's nonprofit. I worked very closely with Kanye West and his nonprofit. I worked at Rainbow Push with Reverend Jesse Jackson. Kind of doing the similar thing, talking about community arts and kind of, merging, the two worlds with the culture, as we like to call it, the culture and activism. And then once I left, working under Reverend Jackson, which was a wonderful experience, legendary. I will not trade those 3 years for the world. I moved back to the 757. And I would say in 2023 is when I started Creatives for Virginia. And I started it just under the premise of there was Delegate Glass was doing Creatives on the Capitol. She wanted to kind of convene the creative community. So that's what I did and just assisted her with on that. And then I just kept it moving because I was like, we got to keep this movement going. So advocacy and arts and culture has been my work for really the last 3-4 years.
Well, that makes you the perfect person to have this conversation with. Thank you for all that you do, in your advocacy work. Advocacy, of course, we're members of the Hampton Roads Urban League. That is our connection. So it's like so important to us, specifically community engagement in the way that we show up, the way that we present, the way that we represent, and the way that we support each other. Like literally the fabric of what Hampton Roads is a lot of us being so engaged in the community and wanting it to be a great space for everyone. So Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show
Yes.
He
Let's
didn't just
talk about it.
perform, he made a statement, and just not
Yes.
any old statement, like a direct, layered, and unapologetic confrontation of how Black identity gets censored and how Black creatives are expected to conform. He went into a space that is traditionally very white, and
Yes.
there was no watering down of the culture of his Blackness. For so many of us in our day-to-day lives, in our careers, there are times where we feel that we have to conform, we have to dumb it down, we have to appease or become shells of ourselves in order to make sure that we appeal to the masses. This was
Yes.
a great signature to everyone in whatever walk of life they're in and whatever career path they have, to show you that you can be unapologetically yourself no matter what stage you are on. He was on the largest stage in the world and decided that I'm not watering down anything. Y'all thought that was going to be the track list. No, I really want to bring it to you this way. So I'd like to just delve into what the halftime show really meant for you, because for me, I felt pride automatically.
It's so funny. Early in my career, like one of back when I was doing label promotions, like Kendrick was one of those when he was signed to IGA. Like he was early in his career, he was one of those artists who I was promoting his record. So just to see his growth, and he always takes any platform that he has, he always takes the opportunity to send a message and make it bigger than himself. It's always bigger than Kendrick, right? It's always a message, and it was just perfectly done in his fashion, while also with the beef and all that other stuff, which we can talk about too. But yeah, I just thought it was a perfect display of what it means to be an artist. Like there's recording artists, there's entertainers, but he is a true artist that uses his art form to be, like you said, unapologetically
Mhm.
Black in whatever space that he's in.
So
So
a true artist is a person that can not only provide you with music that you enjoy, but one that perfectly captures the moment of time that we are in. So I think about like the We Are the Worlds, I Believe the Children Are the Future, what really captures the essence of time that we are in. And I think that Kendrick's entire performance was really, if we were to look back at it in 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, that would be a perfect time capsule to represent what the fight was, what things were happening during that time, and really what we in a political and really the way that we live our lives, what the themes really were in our world at that time and the challenges that we were facing, and really just the Black identity. And I think that that is so impressive for someone to be able to do, because it's one thing to make us dance, but it's another thing to make us really reflect and hold space for the time period that we are in history, no matter how difficult it is.
absolutely, absolutely. And Black History Month, come on now. The time where they're trying to cancel Black History Month, he went extra black. Okay.
Yeah.
Extra. And at the Super Bowl. So, and in New Orleans, which I'm a native of Louisiana. Louisiana is my home state. So I was just all over loving it. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Yeah, it definitely had all the feels for me, but this wasn't just a history lesson. It was kind of a reminder of Black folks that we are still fighting very much.
Yes.
We see everything coming across the news. We see the attack on DEI. We see all of these different legislations that are being passed with coded language that is really Black. And then this visual representation of the Black dancers forming the flag, and then Kendrick in the center representing, I'm a Black American, but I'm still not American enough, or I'm still, my identity is my Blackness. And this is what we built, but look at how what we built treats us. So I like to talk a little bit about the symbolism and see what your perspective is specifically on the American flag that was built, because that was so beautiful and so striking to me. There were other times when there was symbolism used, but that one was really like, I want to take a picture. I want to put it as the background. I want to remember this moment in time.
Yeah. And just like you said, it speaks to the times when people are trying to, us as Black Americans, trying to erase and reverse our presence in this nation. And for that to be seen like, hey, we were born here. we literally built this country with our hands. So if anybody is more American outside of the natives, it's the Black folks, so and I think that, like you said, those reminders, and just, on the biggest platform, the absolute biggest stage that you can possibly be on as a Black performer, and once again, knowing the history of the NFL too, and how, that kind of, from Colin Kaepernick, and just that history in itself, also about, him kneeling, and it just takes it back to, like, hey, as Black Americans, we're here. We ain't going anywhere. Can't deport us. Where are you gonna deport us to? To the White House that we built? No. So it made me very proud, to know that there's an artist like Kendrick, amongst the other type of, artists that we have currently, like that he's so very firm, in representing, our culture in the right way, and that we're properly represented, and that we're respected also. So
yeah, you can be about the progression of Black people and still make a bop.
Exactly.
Like, you don't have to do all of these alternative things. You can really be standing up for our people and be your true self and still make great music. I want to turn to the conversation about Samuel L. Jackson. He is one of my all-time favorite actors, if not my favorite actor. So when he popped on the screen, I was like, Sam.
He had a good old time too. You could tell.
Yes. But seeing him in the role as Uncle Sam. So for me, it was kind of a double meaning for me. Of course, it is the critical role that America as a whole plays in kind of holding back Black people and our Black identity, right? Telling us that we can't do this. That's too ghetto. You need to water it down. That's not good enough. You're doing too much. You're too loud. You're too aggressive. All of those things. But also at the same time, when we look at people like Snoop Dogg or Nelly, who just performed, the way that we look at them as people who are like pillars in our community and people that we love and admire, like Snoop Dogg is everybody's uncle, right? But to see that they compromise themselves, or we feel that they compromise themselves in doing that performance. So it was like triple meanings for me in everything that I saw there. They really did a good job of layering it. And then you bring in Serena to do the Crip Walk, which is a whole other thing. So I like to talk about your impression of Samuel L. Jackson being there in that place and playing the role of Uncle Sam.
Yeah, and I think that was definitely a move that I think that the white people in the audience may have been a little bit confused as to what was happening with the Uncle Sam. They were probably like it wasn't, it definitely went over people's heads.
Yeah, Uncle Sam's a great thing.
It definitely went over some heads, and that is, again, I appreciate that, but I think that is necessary because, once again, this thing about respectability politics, we hear it. I work in corporate, so oftentimes, they, Black women, we have to show up a certain way, and things like that, and especially, again, in this era where censorship is so prevalent now, and misinformation, and it's just crazy now. It's very refreshing to see that, and to know, like, okay, this is definitely for a certain audience. And once again, some folks, it's over their head. It's not going to make sense. It's not for you because they not like us. It goes all together.
Yeah, because Uncle Sam could have been any white man. He could have been anyone, but the symbolism for us is saying Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes.
Knowing that sometimes we are on oppressors, or sometimes they will pit us against each other, or sometimes they will pick one up out of the crowd and try to put them on this pedestal, but really it is to diminish our power as a whole. Like, when you take one out, you're diminishing our combined power. So I think that was very, very powerful, because I'm like, why would he choose Uncle Sam? I mean, I get it's a play on a name, but He could have put anybody in that suit. He could have, hired a nondescript person to be in that
Yeah,
suit. But he chose that for that moment. And I think it's because of the love that we have for Samuel L. Jackson,
absolutely.
of how we are often oppressed,
Yes.
and then the multifaceted nature of our Blackness. Like,
Yes.
we are not a monolith at all. And I think it speaks to kind of some of the division that we face in our fight to make sure that all of us are all right. Sometimes it does not go that way. Why are acts of defiance like what Kendrick Lamar just showed us and showcased? They're so important when it comes to challenging systemic censorship and reframing perceptions of the Black expression.
I think that it's important because I always say that what's done in the dark should come to the light. There's such a microscope on, one, let me say this: Black culture is global. You can go to Korea and probably see somebody wearing Chucks or whatever the case may be that they got from Black American culture. We're global. And there are, unfortunately, now with this new administration, we have forces that are designed and actively working to abolish. I'm going to use that word because I think it's necessary. Abolish anything that even sniffs or looks like what we know as culture, what they know as woke and DEI. And if we don't loudly, very loud, like very loudly, stand up for ourselves, right? And make it known, like, hey, this ain't gonna be just a 4 years where we riding, right? We ain't no, we not just go sit back. I know the 92% we did our job and we say that we're gonna do this, but we still have to be sure that when we have these opportunities, and very much so, especially when the president is in attendance, that we make these statements, because they are on the other side very loudly making it known.
Yeah.
So, I honestly, I just think that it's just called checks and balances. It's just balance. At this point, we have to have this balance in this country, and we have to, make sure that those of us that are comfortable being bold, such as the Kendrick Lamar's, right? Because understanding not everybody is comfortable doing what Kendrick did. That could have been, Lil Wayne was not going to go up on that stage and do that.
No.
Just gonna keep it a buck. That was, if it was Lil Wayne, that would have been a completely different show.
Yeah, we would have enjoyed it, but it would have been very different. We would have would have been completely different. Absolutely.
It would have been, listen, block is hot. Great.
It would have been hot.
But he won't finna go up there and do that. So people like the Kendricks that is willing to, I hate to say like sacrifice his career, but really to put his career on the line, to make these statements. And the Issa Rae's, I gotta call out Issa Rae. There's Shonda Rhimes with the whole Kennedy Center thing, making that stance, and that's okay with that. Those are the entertainers and the creatives that we need to support.
Yeah,
because not everybody has that spirit. So
yeah, we definitely have to do a great job of amplifying and supporting those of us who are willing to go out and put their neck on the line and say, no, we're not going. We're not like, you cannot bury our Black culture. You cannot bury our history. We will continue to be Black. In fact, we will double and triple down on our Blackness whenever you try to diminish it. I think about Beyonce's Super Bowl performance. Same thing, same sentiments. Of course, everybody loves Beyonce. So I think it was an easier pill for them to swallow. But she was saying, yo, no, we are Black, we are proud, we are here, and we're not going anywhere. And then you see a Black man like Kendrick Lamar, and now you see the think pieces about, oh, this wasn't meant to be political. The Super Bowl is supposed to be about fun. It's all political because it's all business, baby. So be clear.
The NFL is super political, so to say that is
Yeah.
wild. But I digress.
Yeah, it's all political. It's all business. So is our country. So let's just keep that in mind, that it is woven into the fabric of our artistic expression as well. And when we feel like we are cornered and our voices are not being heard, there comes along this hero in the form of Kendrick Lamar to say, oh no, we're gonna be all right. And I'm gonna show you how blackety black it can get around here. So I just love that. Now, of course, we have the added layer of the beef, which I think was such a minuscule part of this entire thing. But like, we love the fact that our very good rappers had a very nice battle and it turned out some really good music for us. Let's bring it more local. So we're talking about the censorship of Black art and Black expression. What does that look like here in Virginia? You're a person that's tapped in with the community. You are creative. You work with the creatives. Yeah. Do we have that form of censorship here? Do you think that our creatives are receiving this type of censorship?
I definitely would not say censorship in as far as like the messages and creatives not being able to express themselves. I think that overall, this area, Hampton Roads, is very well, we're blue, so expression is, welcomed, and I think that we do a good job of supporting creatives and artists when it comes to expression. My advocacy and my work is getting the state to do a better job to provide more resources so that artists can create more, and just knowing that there's other states and cities that have the support of there's the support of their government through grant programs and different things like that. And it's just like Virginia can do a lot more because the state makes a lot of money off of entertainment, arts, tourism. Like we bring in money.
Yeah.
So it's only fair that there is resources that is allocated to independent creatives. And I stress that because right now the support that it's through, like, you have to have like organizations or, be attached to like a larger like arts council to really truly get the funding. And I think it's time that Virginia changes that and support its independent creators by establishing a grant fund for independent creators. And that's what I'm fighting and trying to get passed here. So.
Yeah, that is amazing. I mean, I did not know how large Virginia's creative community was until I went to a slow jam at the 80/20 bar one day. And I was like, who are these people with all this talent? And then I started showing up in different spaces and going to different events. And I'm like, oh no, we've got a lot of creatives in Virginia.
Yeah.
And I was in my bubble. So now I try to support wherever I can when they are performing. But tell us some examples of resources and things you would like to see the government provide for these artists. And because a lot of them are literally building things on their own right now. And they're amazing. So if they had the financial backing, if they had the resources, the sky is the limit for them. I see so many things. I see those. I see Kello doing his Coffee Black and those different events. TZ So Dope is doing amazing things. Like, there are people out here who are really moving the needle on their own. So just imagine if they had the resources. What would you like to see be those resources?
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely shout out to Team Lamb, who is my partners, and I'm just so grateful to be working with Team Lamb this year. But so and also, just I'll use the example of this podcast. Now imagine if you, as an independent podcaster, right? Because this isn't just like singers and rappers, like this is content creators. It's anybody that has a creative business, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if you had a grant fund that you could apply for that wasn't for matching grants, because that's another problem that Virginia got, because is matching grants. Like currently, the way that most arts programming and funding is set up, it's set up as matching grants. So you have to, let's say if you want a grant for $5,000, you also would have to put up $5,000, for them to even consider giving you that grant, which again isn't equitable for independent
Right.
creatives, because we got regular jobs. We don't have
Mhm.
$5,000 just laying
Mhm.
around. So but just taking this example of you with your podcast, if there was a grant fund that was established, let's say you can get $5,000 to produce your podcast. So whether that's for like marketing, or
Yeah.
operational, or buying equipment
Mhm.
that you need to produce your podcast, like it's just like the sky is the limit. And it's like it doesn't have to be a lot. It could be smaller on the grander scale. Let's
Mhm.
think about somebody that is trying to put together a artist that's trying to put together like a tour for
Yeah.
themselves. Let's say they want to do a statewide tour with their music and with their message. um, of course, they don't funding a tour is expensive. I worked in the music business. Tours are not cheap. When it comes to like staging, and you have to have the right sound, and obviously merch, and just like all these different pieces and staff. You ain't going out there by yourself. So imagine if there was a grant fund that can help an independent artist sponsor their own tour, so they can go throughout the entire state with their
Mhm.
message and with this music, and travel, and and bring different artistic, whatever the case may be, throughout the state. So that's what that looks like. And I think when people see Atlanta, which I use Atlanta because they literally have this,
Mhm.
it's called the Creative Arts Fund, or it's Invest Atlanta.
Mhm.
So they have this fund. It's like 725,000, um, for, I think, just for Atlanta,
Yeah.
for independent creators, for marketing, for operational budget, like anything, so that they can produce and create projects there in Atlanta, because they understand the value of independent creators and what that does for tourism, what that does for nightlife, just what that does just to beautify, our cities.
Yeah.
Richmond is leading the charge when it comes to, and shout out to like Silly Genius and all of the great creators and artists that are out there that are leading the charge in the art space in our city's capital. So um, yeah, like it could be done. And as you see, just like you said, there's so much talent here. There's
Mhm.
so much talent. There's so many talented people. And if those resources were provided, I think that Virginia and our culture, our creative culture, would be thriving beyond, just beyond. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of that creative culture. So you mentioned your partners, Team Lamb, but tell the folks a little bit more about Team Lamb and what it is that they do, and how you and Creatives for Virginia, like how you all partner, and anything you
Yeah.
have coming up, of course.
Yeah, so Team Lamb, they are an organization. They are a nonprofit. They through the work that they focus on community elevation through fashion, through art. They produce and provide platforms for so many creatives. They're based in Virginia Beach. They produce the Juneteenth on the Juneteenth at the beach for the city of Virginia Beach. They produce a lot of events, something in the water. They did something with Odyssey as well. So um, they really are leading the charge as in providing spaces and for creatives of all facets to have exposure and to be creative. Um, and that's something that I definitely appreciate, and that's something that I'm passionate about, is to be able to provide those platforms and and just community elevation, just elevating our community. I am somebody that is big. I was, my organizing and just the work that I've done has always been reflective of coalition building and community building. So being able to partner with other organizations and do things with other organizations is kind of like my thing because I know that there's strength in numbers, and a community divided is that doesn't get us anywhere, right? We have to be united. So myself and Team Lamb just decided to come together and partner because our missions are very similar. I'm just attacking it on a different level as far as legislation, which also comes from my experience in the entertainment business and knowing that how closely entertainment and politics is connected. Like, you may not be political, but trust me, everything that operates around you is political, every single thing. So it's important that we as creators and creative business owners, and that we have a seat at the table, because whether we're there or not, those decisions are going to be made about our community, and it's not ever going to be equitable for us if we're not there. To fly the flag or say, you know what, this is not a good idea.
Yeah.
Money needs to be here, and there. So, that's one of my, missions, is to get more creatives and people involved, because I get so many like city officials that come to me. I just had, a meeting with somebody with the city of Newport News, because they're trying to build out there. They're like, hey, somebody that could, serve on the Arts Council. We have a slot. Getting more artists at the table and in these rooms, right? So that's why we decided to partner. As you know, I produced the Juneteenth Festival for the Urban League last year, which was a great experience. So I'm grateful that this year to be producing more events and Virginia Beach and as well as other cities, just to bring this message out, because every year in Virginia is an election year, and this year is a big one. We got the governor seat up, and it is imperative, okay?
Yeah.
It is imperative that we get the right candidate in that seat for governor for our state. That's all I'm gonna say, okay? All I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave that there.
How can the listeners of this podcast, the viewers of this show, how can they actively support our local Black creatives?
Wow, so that's a great question. I think that support looks different for everybody. I know for myself, it is, just showing up. I'm going to start doing regular meetings, and it's important for me that I have more, people that are engaged. So that would be support for me. For other people, honestly, it's buying a ticket to the show this weekend, the CIS Awards. Buy a ticket to the CIS Awards. You know what I'm
I'll
saying?
be there. Keena's gonna be there.
Yes.
She's getting an award.
Yes.
On a little bit of talking on the microphone.
So, just buying tickets and supporting, supporting when these, because at the end of the day, they're creators, but they're business owners too.
Absolutely.
So, you have to reframe your mind that because a lot of times people think art should be free, music should be free, but it's like it's the music business. It takes resources to create that music. So
I tell people all the time, like, yeah, I can get on the mic and run my mouth in any form or fashion, but the most expensive thing is my time. the
Yes.
time it takes me to create and form my thoughts and produce a product. So like I need to be paid for my time because it's the
Yeah.
most important thing that I have. And it's the way that I'm able to produce and really, support others through my voice and
Exactly.
up
Yeah.
those marginalized people. Any events that you like to shout out, anywhere that you like folks to follow you and to get connected with you, if they have any resources or just want to tap into everything that you and Team Lamb has going on?
Yes, absolutely. You can follow myself at Keena, which is right there, and at Creatives for VA. You can go to creatives4virginia.org, and you can learn more about me and the work that if you want to work with me, you can book a consultation. I do consultations for marketing and strategy and branding and all of that. So you can go to creatives4virginia.com to get that information for Team Lamb. It is Team Lamb Inc. _ Be sure to follow. We will be putting out some information about Juneteenth soon. The CIS Awards is coming up. I'm not sure when when this is going to air, but Sunday, CIS Awards, definitely that is going to be an amazing event. Shout out to the men's group that is putting that on, and it is a wonderful event that honors and recognizes beautiful Black women in our community. So I think that it was such an honor to even be considered, but I don't think I've ever won an award for anything. So it's super grateful. You'll see me there, you see Dana there, like we gonna be there, popping out, looking cute, all that good stuff. And yeah, I just want to say that thank you to the Urban League, thank you to you, Dana, thank you to Charlie, Patricia, for this platform. And and also I want to talk about one other thing as
Absolutely.
far as creative. So I am also a member of the Recording Academy. I am a professional member, and I currently serve as the co-chair of the Advocacy Committee. And this year in the state of Virginia, we are looking to pass. It's called the Elvis Act, but essentially it's a bill that protects creators against AI. Right. So we will
Yeah.
be the third state. If we get it passed, that passes this bill. Tennessee was first, California, and now it's us. So for the music industry, all eyes are going to be on Virginia, that we get this bill passed. Shout out to TZ and Skills, and I believe Huntley. They are members, they are artists that are advocating and lobbying for this bill. It is very important because AI is here, guys, and it is a huge threat to creators, right? It's a huge threat if we're talking about, producing, art and all this other stuff. And a company can swoop right on in and take your likeness and not even pay you for it. So to cut all that out, okay, that is legislation that we are looking to get passed here in the state. So be on the lookout for that. You can go to the recordingacademy.com to learn more about the Elvis Act. It's a different name here, but nationally it's called the Elvis Act. So I just wanted to say that because that's
important.
Super important.
That is important. And thank you for bringing that up. And then for the artists, for the creatives, we have an opportunity for you. I know you all know that this is an Urban League production here. So we want to not only invite you, but let you know that we are looking for artists and performers to come out and help us as we celebrate Black History Month. So the Roots and Rising, a Black History celebration, is going down on February 22nd from 11 to 2 p.m. at Greater Thou Faith Ministries in Virginia Beach. If you are a creative and you are looking to showcase your talent, showcase your skills, this is an opportunity for you to do so. Please feel free to reach out to myself or any of the Urban League staff in order to be considered. You can scan the QR code that you see here as well. You can always go to our website, ulhr.org, in order to find out all of the happenings with your Hampton Roads Urban League. I want to thank you, Keena, for joining me and having this conversation. To the audience, I really appreciate you all for rocking with us. This is the first episode of the New Wave podcast. I have been your host, Dana Duckworth, aka The Big Speaker. If you'd like to follow me in my journey, you can follow me on my personal Instagram to get some gym inspiration at KNOWDAYZOFF. And if you like to follow my business page or my secondary podcast, you can do that at Hilariously Unemployed and at Speak Up Dana. This has been the New Wave Podcast, y'all. Make sure you check us out and make sure you support us. Download, subscribe, and share it with a friend. We'll be back for episode 2. You never know who's going to be on the screen with me, but we will see you all soon. And with that, I'll say bye.
Bye.
I would not be who I am if I left out the fact that he ended the beef.
He put a nail in that coffin.
He definitely put a nail in that coffin. And that just goes to show, man, don't call people out of their corner, minding their business.
And that's the thing
for the that comes with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I am a certified Drake hater, so I'm a little biased because I have never liked Drake ever. I don't like his voice. I don't like anything about Drake. So, yeah, and I just people.
Yeah, I hate Drake. I do not hate Drake. I enjoy his music, but.
Yeah, very hard for me to listen to his voice. So I have like maybe 2 Drake songs that I have, but no, yeah, it's just, again, like when you poke and you know, people have to understand, like, this is like years and I don't remember when the Control verse came out, but this has been years and years and years and years of Drake just continuously poking at different people. Poking. And so when people retaliate, when they, you know, you continuously to poke, of course somebody like Kendrick's gonna come back. And hip hop is a sport to people like Kendrick. Like, it's supposed to be braggadocious and I'm the best and all this. That's the culture. That's the sport of hip hop. And if Drake was really part of his culture, he would know that and understand that eventually, you know, it's gonna get dirty. So I am super happy that he won all these Grammys for Not Like Us. I think that the final nail in the coffin should be Canada making Not Like Us their nation's song.
Sure.
And then I will be happy.
Now you know that is not gonna happen.
I listen, I think I can convince the Prime Minister or whoever to make Not Like Us.
Okay. You let me know.
The national song of Canada, and I will be happy. That would be, I think that's the pillar. That's the top. Like, every time he goes to his own country, you got to hear that song.
You let me know communications and correspondence go through.
Yes.
The minister over there. I will be following that story.